there, Anne Marie here, and today I've got a layout and a card share. These are layouts that I completed at a crop, actually in August. At least most of them. Some of them have been done for a while. I went to a couple other crops like in March and whatnot. Anyway, there's a pretty good stack of them and a lot of cards as well. So first up, we'll do the layouts. Okay, so this first one's Feeling Loved, and it's about a time that my husband surprised me with calla lilies and sushi and Green Machine Naked Juice because those are all my favorite things. Calla lilies was actually our flower from our wedding, so I do need to go back and add that for the journaling, actually. So I'm going to set this off to the side for that. But I did some clusters of hearts in a visual triangle. I used clips. One of those giant doilies that I've had in my stash forever. This was a perfect opportunity. All right, next up is this one. And it doesn't really have a title unless you count the card. Blessed are the curious, for they shall have adventures. This was with some really old paper I had in my stash. And then there were scraps of gold paper. The place where I did this crop, they have a giant scrap box that you can use. And she had a bunch of scraps of gold foil paper. So I used that. And this was a day, my daughter actually had a birthday party in like a couple towns over. And so then I looked up a trail to walk and I just found one randomly and walked back and discovered like a whole cemetery. So it was a whole adventure. I don't know. It was really cool. It was really unexpected. And I need to, again, do the journaling. I'm going to type that up and put it on the back. Next we have Bento Attempto. This one I finally have done the journaling for. I just wrote out what each of the lunches was, like what the theme was. These were the letter F and the color brown and the letter P and the different things that fit that theme. So this is some really old basic gray I've been trying to use up, all those little bits and pieces. And I just matched it up with some brads from my stash and some ribbon scraps that brought out those colors. And I used some of my favorite, it's like gradient paper, both on the background and the foreground. And so that was fun. All right, so for this layout, this is the layout about my daughter's bedroom after we moved here. I did this at an August crop, and at this crop, they had a huge table that was a bunch of garage sale stuff. So I came to the crop with these pictures and this paper here that it's matted on, the cardstock, this paper I was trying to use up, and these chipboard pieces. When I got to the crop, they had that great secondhand table, and I came away with a stencil and giant books of these types of stickers, some great ephemera, and some big layered canvas flowers that I tore apart, and then also some deco brads. Like seriously, I hit the mother lode at this crop. So I was able to come up with a fun, a little more detailed layout than I had packed the kit for. Okay, so this layout's a 2-page layout. It uses this fun gradient background paper. I just really, really love these. I'm gonna be so sad when I use them all up. I was trying to use up this basic gray collection again, and I was able to supplement with some paper from the secondhand table and these deco brads. So these are just pretty flowers that we saw outside a rest stop in Lincoln, Nebraska, and so that was my journaling was about that. All right, so this layout was also completed at that August crop, and you can kind of see I have a little bit of a formula going at this point. I'm trying to use up these basic gray pieces, and I packed a kit with this paper and this photo and this background cardstock. And then once I was at the crop, I had this access to that table, and I came away with a stencil and tons of really cool ephemera and a lot of brads. So you're going to see that kind of happen a lot. I just did some fun coloring on the bingo card in the background just to bring in more colors from the picture and tie it to the picture, or tie it to the colors in the pattern paper. All right, so this layout was about a new to me walking path that I had gotten to explore recently. And got it. And I kept it really simple, kept the focus on the photos. I was fitting 5 onto one 8.5 by 11, which is for me very impressive. So this is entitled Riparian Trail. And then on the secondhand table, I came away with this little pack of feathers and these Dymo label type stickers. So they were the perfect little natural touches to add to this layout. This one, I'm not sure if I've shared this one or not. I might have, but I made this at a crop several months ago, but I don't think I've done any layout shares or anything since then. It's possible I've shared it on my Instagram, but even that I doubt, because I wasn't on Instagram for almost a year. So I'm going to show it to you now. This was on an awesome crop in Knoxville where I got to see some of my online friends, and I had such a good time. This was last fall. I wish I could be there this year. I'm sad I'm going to have to miss it. We got to visit this great scrapbook store in Knoxville. So if you're ever there, check it out. It's called Scrappin' in the City, and it's in this great old house, and every room is just full to the bursting with amazing scrapbooking stuff. So this was really fun to revisit and to remember this trip. And it was a great opportunity to use this crafty collection, which of course I can't remember the name of now, but this was all about different hobbies and crafting and art. So it was fun to use it. And the colors were perfect. All right, this is a 2-page layout. It's got another one of those gradient pieces in the background that looks like I need to trim a little. This is, I believe, Pretty Little Studio paper. And these die cuts were left over from some Spellbinder card kits that I had, and then some thickers. I know there's a ton of yellow dots, and that's because I don't show pictures of my kids online anymore. So you'll just have to imagine those are all bright, smiling, happy faces. I also was able to do some stamping and embossing. So this one says it's your time to shine, and the title is Your Easter Best, which is in sparkly letters. And there's lots of sequins, as well as some heat embossed little stamped sparkly spots, and then some teeny tiny stars and rhinestones. All right, this is another layout where I need to do the journaling. This was from a spring break activity that my daughter did with some friends, and it's an old Echo Park collection that I used for this. Got to use up lots of stickers and some fun paper. Also was able to use up some homemade enamel dots that I had in my stash. When I say homemade, I didn't actually make these. These were a rack from a friend who had homemade them. And so they're those little melted pony bead type enamel dots, and they're glittery, so it was perfect. All right, then I have this single page layout. This was another one where I thought this picture would go well with some of the basic gray paper that I wanted to use. And that was from the collection as well. And those stickers and that label chipboard thicker. But I ended up adding these butterflies that were the perfect color combination that I found on the garage sale table, as well as some of these clear buttons. Those were on the garage sale table. They weren't part of the original button pack that I had. But this was just so perfect. I love when stuff like this happens. I had a wrap on my nail that was a butterfly, and all the colors worked together perfectly. And then I found these butterflies. Like, I just love it when stuff like that happens. It's just awesome. And then this was a little tongue in cheek, but I loved the drink. And so then I used one of my Allie E stamps. The "You are amazing." Just being silly. All right, so for this layout, this was another one I completed at the August crop, and I had another gradient background. This wasn't from the paper pad. However, this was, I want to say Echo Park. They had a line of gradient papers a few years ago. And then I just added some scraps. This actually was a piece of that basic gray I was trying to use up. And then from the secondhand table, I got the stencil, I got these stickers, I got all this ephemera, all of these stickers, like the little word stickers and stuff. And then I just supplemented a little bit with my punches and my mist. And otherwise, most of this layout was from that table. And this was one of those where I hadn't scrapped for a while. And I was just so excited about some of the new stuff, new to me stuff, that I got really into it. And I really enjoyed this layout. Loved it. So now we've got some cards, and I'll just go through these in little batches. The majority of these I have shorts for or full videos. And so I'll try to link some of these as we go. I will probably not be able to link all of them because I think there's like a max amount of things you can link. So I will include links in the description box below if I can. Okay, so this one, I did this background. I created this for the 100 backgrounds challenge that I have been working on. It was originally supposed to be over 100 days. I would do 100 backgrounds, but time has definitely gotten away from me. And so I'm still doing it under the 100 days of art kind of challenge umbrella, but I'm taking my sweet time with it. So I did this background. This was a little bit of tone-on-tone stamping, a little bit of double stamping, and then some ink blending and stuff. And there is a short for this one. And then I just adhered the acetate butterfly to the vellum with some stickles, which did kind of warp the vellum a little bit, but it wasn't too bad. And then I had a bunch of these pre-cut and pre-stamped and pre-cut. So I just got those out of my stash and added some rhinestones and staples and called that good. These two I completed in one setting. I created, I want to say it was this one was the original, and I just dripped these, this like pink, it's Dina Wakley gloss media stuff that she has. And I kind of dripped some on it. And then I just smashed the two card panels together and then added a few more to this one. So they're very similar in tone and feel. And so I kind of kept the design the same as well. This one, I like the card. I'm still not clear about this. I just felt like I needed to bring in that black somehow, but I feel like I might add some pen work around the edge instead and just take this off because it just doesn't feel like it fits with the tone of the card. But this was a cool little cut apart card that somebody had actually gifted me. And so I was able to color in the background, and I just attached that as the card front for the sentiment and everything. And then all of these are from a little, I think it was like one cut apart sheet that I had left from this collection, and I wanted to be able to use it. So I just cut apart whatever was left, added some stickles on this one, and some gingham ribbon from my stash for a Thinking of You card. This was one of the cut apart 4x4 cards, I believe. And so I just, again, added some stickles to the designs. Otherwise, did not do much decorating. This one I did add a stamp sentiment and some huge scalloped washi in the bag, but you can't even tell it's really scalloped because it's so big. But that's all right. I still like the touch that it gives. And then I added stickles to the center of all of the flowers. For this one, this was, again, a cut apart card that had this kind of file tab on it. And then I just clipped an extra sentiment that I had left over from, I believe it was my last Cute Cards Quick video, where I did a bunch of this sentiment matted on this kind of mustardy yellow color, which I thought picked up the gold in the background really well here. And then this is the last one from that set. I don't believe any of this actually officially came from those cut aparts, but it was paper that I'd thrown in to make like a little kit to use up those cut aparts. And so just all these pieces kind of came together for that card. This card was completed for, it was one of these stencil videos that I've done recently. And so you can check that out for more details, but it's basically metallic rub-ons through a stencil that I moved around to really fill up the space. This is 49 a Market Countryside, I believe, Vintage Artistry Countryside. And I just pulled everything from those, all from the ephemera packs, pop dotted some of the butterflies, and called that good. This one, I feel like this one's a really old one, so I may have shared this one before. I'm not sure. This was from a leftover Spellbinders card kit. This is from a Spellbinders card kit, like pile of leftovers. So I embossed some of the leftover cardstock, and there's some tiny cut apart cards and papers that were in it, and all that went together. This is another one of the 100 backgrounds. So it's on that playlist if you want to check it out. And I just stacked a butterfly on top and added some sequins. This one is one of my favorites. I really love how this turned out. So I created kind of a washed background, but then was able to like color onto a rubber stamp, misted it with water and stamped it. Then I inked it again and stamped again. So you can see how there's some portions that are just crystal clear, but then a lot of others are just partial or kind of fading away. And I had some, I believe these are 49 Market laser cut butterflies, and this sentiment just happened to be the right color. So one of those where everything came together. This is another 100 backgrounds card. That I used some tissue paper and misting to create the background. And since there was these gold metallic flakes in the tissue paper, I paired it up with some gold metallic cardstock. And then these were more Spellbinders card kit leftovers that I had that picked up really nicely on this kind of blue blurple type color, and had the gold in it too. All right, there's actually 3 of these, but I've used one. So these were made for a stencil video a few weeks back, and also included in the 100 backgrounds. This one's really hard to see, but it was a ghosting technique with water. So I created the background with kind of a solid color, and I misted a stamp with water and stamped with the water, and it lifted some of that color. It's a very subtle effect, but I like it. And then this, I believe, was just a tone on tone with the stencil. And then I just topped them with some Dollar Tree chipboard. And again, I had more sentiments that matched. All right, these 3 were from my most recent stencils video, I believe. So the first one was where I doodled through the stencil. So I did X's and O's, and I did them as a gradient. So I had a couple of circles where it was 2 colors at once, and then I blended. This was just a straightforward use of the stencil, but then I lifted the stencil for the bottom portion and just inked it solidly. So it looks like the pattern's like emerging from the bottom of the stencil. And these are all, I believe, Graphic 45 papers, but I might be wrong. And then the last one was a reciprocal gradient, but with the colors too. So one set of the polka dots was going purple to orange, and then the in between rows of polka dots was going the opposite direction of purple to orange. All right, then this last set of cards, these were from my new jelly printing plate. I hadn't got to use this yet, and so I was just playing around, and I made these 4 backgrounds. I will have shorts for those soon. And then these are just the completed cards. So it's a brand new jelly plate, and I didn't bother like cleaning it or prepping it. I just wanted to see what happened. So for the first couple, you can see that there's a lot of kind of resist to taking the paint. But it got better as time went on, and that's upside down, sorry. And I will prep it better next time too. These leaves were actually left over from some other cards that I made that I'll pull out next. I forgot about them. And the colors worked so well with these that I went ahead and used them. But this was just using my jelly plate, just doing a color, like swiping acrylic paint across the surface and then pressing the cardstock into it. And then I covered it with a stencil and used some Brilliance ink through that. Same thing here. And then I had these Pink Fresh embellishments, and I'm not sure what paper this is from, but it was some leftover 6x6 paper I had. But I really liked how the gold goes with kind of those autumn colors. Okay, I think these are the final cards. I think this is it. I'll have a video, I think, for these two, or at least some shorts. But it was, pumpkin spice season was just starting, and so I pulled out some doodlebug paper and some Lawn Fawn stamps and then some other dies that I had in my stash and threw together all of these cards. See, it's even got the cinnamon topping or whatever the topping is. I don't know. That's quite a few cards there. Somebody asked me what I do with all my cards, and I answered them in their comment, but I wanted to say it in a video too. So my mother likes to use my cards, so I let her have her pick. My mother-in-law also likes to use the cards, so she gets to have a run through them all too. And then I have 2 very close friends that like them, except they're long distance. So I usually will take pictures of whatever cards I have at the moment and send them to them and let them pick. And all 4 of these people are much, much better at using cards to communicate than I am. This is really just like a stress relief, creative thing for me. So I really appreciate that they want them and that they use them and that these are being, sent to people that appreciate them. Whatever is left, I then hand over to my church and they can use in their ministries how they like. And then there's been a couple different card donation groups that I've seen that I also wanted to kind of investigate, but I haven't had enough cards that I felt like I could send them to them. I've been able to give all my cards away to these other people in my life. So we'll see if I can. If you know of any great causes or any groups like that you want to promote, then drop them in the comments because I'd be interested in hearing more about it. All right, I think that's it. So next video will be another Cute Cards Quick, and we'll make a ton more cards. So, all right, I'll see you then. Have a good week. Bye.